In the Interstellar Age, where battleships are the supreme force, the river of giant ships is the ultimate romance for men. The grim-faced man had traveled from Earth to this interstellar age. 34 years had long since passed. The four men gathered to talk, expecting a happy beginning and ending with the game of battleships. But not like this. As the battleship gave a sharp warning, there was a loud boom and the battleship was launched into space. The man's tired face reveals sadness and guilt. Sorry for not being able to protect you. Seeing the trusting eyes of his comrades, the men were deeply moved. They hugged each other tightly as they met their final deaths. But suddenly the man's eyes widened in amazement and he gasped in disbelief. What had happened? Time can be reversed. Activate. Immediately activate the time rewind function. Please note, this function is only available once. Only once. This time, I will never fail. Serious warning. Armor damage 93%. Hull damage 69%. Critical warning. Armor damage 98%. Hull damage 74%. The man opened his eyes after a violent shock. I've really been reborn at this time? He's back in the year 10103. On the 1st of June. This is the ship on the mine? This was where he had lived for 20 years. He was reborn 14 years ago. In 2 days' time, that's when he got the Fire Seed battleship. And with that, he exposed his identity, and the beginning of a 10-year hunt by the Gene family. The year 10103 of the stellar calendar I. This is planet KO03. It is also the only inhabited planet in the Blackstone Barrens territory mining star field. He closed his eyes tightly. Since I have a chance to be reborn, I, Wang Dou, will never repeat the same mistake. He slowly raised his right hand and called out the auxiliary system. At present, the only thing that can be used normally is scanning. The Mining Fighter 2 near-space mining ship, more than 100 years old, with an F-class rating, which meant that it belonged to a lowly level among near-space mining ships. Wang Dou operated the warship and let out a sigh of relief. Long time no see, old mate. He checked it over. All other functions were still not functioning properly, unless he obtained a Fire Seed battleship with growth. It could be truly activated. Just wait, Gene family. In this life, I will definitely make you pay back in blood. A pair of feet suddenly appeared in front of him, only to hear the man say, "This is the mine's second entrance forward base. Leah greets you." Hello, Brother Dynamic. Welcome. There are still 10 hours to enter the window. Prepare in advance. Oh, I looked at Leah. You were on duty today? Leah got upset and said I didn't even know her duty day, so I quickly apologized. Really worthy of her. Only her warmth and cheerfulness can be in this dead universe. To bring a trace of warmth to the miners here, only to make him promise to buy dinner. Wang Dou can just this time to do a little core strength training. Interstellar era. The individual's physique is also vital, especially for the fire kind of warships. The physical quality of a person who has not undergone body forging training is still too poor. Unfortunately, the privileged class controls the entry conditions for body forging cultivation, and it is too difficult to obtain it in the poor countryside of the mining area. With the arrival at the second entrance of the asteroid belt mining area, the automatic navigation was about to end, and the battleship reminded Wang Dou to please switch to the manual mode in time. The system prompted that Old Sure also chose the second entrance this time, so keep an eye on it. Although I have done a good job of hiding the existence of the gold finger, when the final harvest is placed there will inevitably be some people who will be jealous, and Old Sure is one of them. Before that, Sure was always the leader of this group of intergalactic miners, because his skills were good and his luck wasn't bad. Even if his character was not good, it did not affect his position. Wang Dou recalled the past, bowed his head and contemplated. In his rapid progress, it directly affected Old Sure's position in the miners, and in turn, therefore, he was onto him. Don't know how to die guy. The man was excited. The bystanders joked. Moving brother hanging Old Sure link. You dare to open the bank is not afraid of losing death. They squealed and joked, listening to him a little impatient. Side communication audio converted to text. Ears finally clear. Wang Dou thought back to the asteroid belt mining area is famous for its complex airspace conditions. The deeper the more variables, the deeper the code mining spaceships, the slightest carelessness is a shipwreck. The more rare the place, the richer the hidden veins, the better the veins are preserved, the richer the harvest. Simply put, whoever can reach the deepest part of the mine is the biggest winner. In his last life, this guy Lao sure was after him, trying to find out the so-called secret, and forcibly track my flight path. But the engine overloaded and went out of control, and the ship was Fina. It's none of my business that he got himself killed, but I didn't realize that the guy's family would come to the factory and cause trouble, even attracting extra attention. The bastard's dead, but he's got other problems too. We can't do it again. We'll have to do it more cleanly this time. In the outermost reaches of the asteroid belt, there's often a layer of small and microscopic objects that surround the belt, fast enough to pose a deadly threat to the thinly armored near-space mining ships. This is what the miners call the window of opportunity. Leah said sweetly, "The window is coming, so get ready, ready." Ha 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 ha. This time I am sure to win. Old Sher quickly opened the battleship. He sneered disdainfully. "You'll win with your head." He switched off the ship's self-gravity generating system, and then allocated all the saved power to the 8 lateral azimuth adjustment engines on the side of the mining bastard 2. Compared to the Tomahawk destroyer, the mining fighter 2 was really good in terms of propulsion and acceleration, and even in terms of maneuverability, such as change of attitude control. More engines meant more room for maneuver, an advantage that was even more apparent in complex environments. Suddenly the crowd exclaimed. He rushed ahead of the meteorite belt, rushed over. "Wang Dou, this is looking for death. This simply cannot pass. Ah! A gambling fight only not to. Move, brother, you quickly stop." The old sure-faced Dish's color alarmed said, "This madman, you really do not want to die." His eyes are firm, steadily staring ahead. This environment, compared to the real battlefield, is not worth mentioning at all. I can pass through with my eyes closed. The next thing I saw was the battleship rushing out of the meteorite field like a crackerjack. It was amazing. Old Sher stared with wide eyes and made an unbelievable sound. Is this his real strength? How the hell did this guy do it? It's easy for him. It saved his life. I hope he doesn't fuck things up again. That's it. Less than 24 hours to go. Let's get down to business. We need to mine, otherwise it'll look too unusual. The point is the power crystals. I don't want to be in the same situation I was in last life when I activated the system and had no crystals to use. This depth is about right. If I go any deeper, even with the piloting skills I brought back from my rebirth, I'll be a bit reluctant. The ship's light brain activates the detector's external antenna and launches a particle stream to survey the self-targeting. With such a large volume, it's probable that the result will be bad if it. Sure enough, it's either copper or iron ore. He kept reading. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's so hard to mine. All the copper he dug was copper, and the purity was 5. Finally, after 40 minutes, he dug out the Cit ore. He was so excited. The price of gas ore is very high, but the price of titanium ore is 30 times higher than the price of gas ore. Because of its rare material, it can be used as a high-quality material for the armor of. He used a magnetic lasso to fix the relative positions of the ship and the asteroid, and prepared to take the titanium ore. He used a high-strength alloy to make a mining drill to break through the outer rock of the asteroid and take out the titanium ore. 5 hours later, he had dug out over 100 tons of Cit ore, which was astonishing. Next, he searched for energy crystals with all his might, but there were almost no independent veins of energy crystals, often accompanied by other veins, extremely difficult to find. And finally, 10 hours later, he looked at the ground, saw a small piece of energy crystal ore, not only with a large medium-sized small mining drill open sequential stripping, spent more than 20 hours, but then also with an alloy hammer manual stripping, so valuable. Do not know how many units inside. 3 hours later, lying on the floor tired and panting, really Pit, actually only 3 units. Better than nothing. He suddenly thought that there is only 1 hour left to come. Wait for me. The Spark warships. There was a sharp buzzing sound. He snapped out of his seat. He looked at the huge warship in front of him, the Spark battleship Tomahawk. He said slowly, opening his lips. With a rumbling sound, a huge battleship appeared in front of him. The man operated the warship to meet the enemy, but suddenly found that the detectors and communicators had lost their normal functions. He was completely shielded. At this point, he gives the order to the ship's optical brain, shuts down all communication systems and propulsion engines, and then surrenders. And it's easy to see from the tone of his voice that he thought back to his past life, and it was exactly the same. The Spark had absconded and hidden in this area while being hunted down, and it was a lot more urgent than he thought it would be. 2 giant robots, 2 men tall, appeared in front of him, and he sighed. That's rich. He watched as they came before him and led him to the teleportation platform. There was a swoosh. They arrived at the command deck, also known as the bridge. Come on, he thought. It's a blessing, not a curse. It's a curse. Raising his eyes, he saw a man sitting in a heavy mech wearing a heavy mech. He greeted Yuan Ju. Meet again. So many years have passed. The scene in front of him is still very familiar. He frowned tightly. His forehead was covered with cold sweat, and his face looked painful. The man found that he had come, and when he raised his eyes, he said, "You don't seem to be surprised. I am sorry I am in a situation where it is not convenient to move. So please come a little closer." Wang Dou lowered his head and contemplated. It is time to start the show. As he walked, even if it was not directly through the heart center, it must have destroyed at least half of the heart tissue. Although it is not clear what since you invited me in this way, but you can now live and stay awake, but still suggest that it is best for you to make a long story short. Military stimulants. Unless you cut off your head within an hour after injection, you will be able to stay awake. You go to find a reliable hospital to see. There may be hope. Wang Dou looked around. There was no one else here except him. The man said, "The Pu family's execution dagger is not something that a hospital in a small place like this has the means to alleviate. If you need someone to witness your death, then I think you can start. You have achieved your goal, let me go. I'm just an ordinary star miner." The man spoke slowly. "I killed a Jin, and you'll be hard-pressed to get away from me on a battleship. The Jin of the Ting Yuan system of the Canary Flower Federation. They are known for their orbital. This will be retaliated. I once heard that one of the Jin family's collateral lineage was sued by the Academy to the Ministry of Education of the Ting Yuan Federation. Getting involved with them is a big trouble." The man saw that he was clear about the pros and cons of the situation and praised him for being good and quite insightful. Wang Dou wanted to understand the reason. He had no choice but to ask him the purpose. Suddenly remembered that in his last life, after inheriting his kindling warship, he was hunted down by the Jin. At this time, the man spoke and praised his performance was quite good. After recognizing the situation, calmly responded to the situation. In the face of uncontrollable force, still remain calm. Such, he humbly responded, "I'm flattered. There's still a lot to learn." The man then began to introduce himself. "My name is Yuan Jiu. This is my warship, the Tomahawk. She is a general fire battleship, just as you guessed. I am about to die." The man wanted to hand over the captain's authority to become the next captain of this Tomahawk, but when he finished, he found him a little reluctant to do so. In fact, it had always been his dream to have a fire-blood warship of his own. The spark, the symbol of the highest force of human civilization, and the force on which the privileged rely to maintain their rule. But he had his own plans. Work as a miner to make money and then leave here to go to a higher institute in the Federation, and as long as he graduated with honors, he would be able to obtain a Fire Seed battleship funded by T. He still has 30% certainty. Now it is too early and sudden. He is still completely unprepared, no matter whether it is psychological, ability, or even the background forces. When the man heard this, he revealed a fierce look. Blood slowly crossed from the corner of his eye. "So you are not willing to accept my gift?" But he insisted on refusing to say. The Pine Man is not guilty of a crime. With his current status, the possession of a Fire Seed battleship will surely die. The man didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed out loud and praised him for his calmness. Calm thinking. It was him who hadn't considered it well. Wang Dou exhaled, finally passed the test. If not reborn was really booed by him. He is not a good generation. If not to his liking, I am afraid that will not be soft to kill me. And the Jin family feud can avoid so many years of pursuit, relying on his Yuan family's heritage. The Jin family coveted treasure, a special function of the additional type of shipboard module. Immediately after that, the robot behind him fiercely tackled Wang Dou, making him unable to move. In front of his eyes appeared a green injection. The man told him that this is the Yuan family's secret medicine. Its time limit is 1 year after the onset of the disease. The needle was slowly injected into his body, only to hear that the man wanted to give him the authority of the captain of the Spark ship and asked him to kill a member of the Jin family's direct line. In short, if he kills a member of the Jin family within a year, he can live, so he can only agree to it. This is the end of the road for him. The man finally let go of his heart. Fate didn't cut off his hope after all. Before he died, he found a suitable owner for the Tomahawk. Tomahawk, in my capacity as captain, I'm officially issuing an order. The order is as follows. Transfer the captain's authority to the human citizen Wang Dou in front of me. The highest level of authority has been changed, and authentication has been opened. The target is confirmed to be human citizen Wang Dou. Authentication is complete. Please confirm the order with CA. This is just the starting point. Last time, just from the starting point, you fell on your face. This time, I want you to take a good look and see who is dead. At this time the system prompt suddenly sounded. Please note that during the repair period, the armor module cannot function properly. Is it sure to repair it? He sighed. Fortunately there is a magical artifact like fire, can directly repair the battleship. Avoid going to the repair shop to expose himself. This kind of repair can be really kryptonite, repairing the damage caused by the djinn. The two major breakage disappeared, but the first round of search failed to find the wreckage. But fortunately the harvested source points are enough to implement. The system suggests that the repair is complete, upgrading the armor from level 1 to level 2, and upgrading the patrol radar from level 1 to level 2, taking 1 hour. Are you sure? He didn't hesitate to confirm. Fortunately, he had collected the resources needed to upgrade the battleship module when he was mining. The system voice sounded again. Strengthen the quantum entanglement brainwave manipulation system from level 1 to level 2. Time consumed 1 hour. Is it okay? Okay. Wang Dou looked at the range of the manipulation system that appeared on the screen and sighed that it was finally not too short. He stretched and relaxed and said, finally finished. It is time to go back. After checking that there is no abnormality around us today, we will return to the ship first. Then with a boom, the battleship had drawn a beautiful arc. He shouted, Shao 16, why are you here? 13th brother, I am not afraid that Yuan Shuji's head will make a desperate counterattack, and you will be trapped. The man was furious and said, Yuan Shuji has been fatally wounded. How can he still have the power to fight? 16th brother's good intentions I appreciate. I will definitely have a reward in the future. Sima DeLong, I tell you, you are too naive. The family bounty doesn't care who started it. If I can find the tomahawk first, the family bounty will be mine. If you can find the tomahawk first, the family reward will be mine. You are laughing at me, my dear 16th brother. Don't get cocky too soon. He smiled evilly. I want to see how much the 13th brother, nicknamed Rabbit Dog, is capable of. Don't let me down. The man turned his back and grunted coldly. That special module rumored to be in the tomahawk, I must get it. He eagerly said, quickly contact Zhongda and ask him where he has arrived. How is it that he is even slower than Sima DeLong came? Dawdling. Think it's a spring trip? The classmate stood up excitedly and waved to Wang Dongdang, come here, come to me. After the two met at the party, they condoled each other's recent situation. He intends to go to the Highland Viscounty. I want to find a chance to go to a battleship class secondary education institute, but I don't know if I can get in or not. He pulled up the corner of his mouth and flirted. You don't want to sneak across the border, right? Uncle Chan is afraid that he will cut you to death. The two of them hooked shoulders and backs, tuition fees and so on. Any shortfalls? Feel free to ask. They looked back at the same time and realized that someone was talking behind their backs. The two girls greeted them. The yellow-haired man is so surprised to see his goddess. He can't even speak. The red-haired man is helpless at his friend who is beside him in a frenzy. He looks down and says hello to the girl next to him. The girl jabbed her finger shyly, but the man next to her looked at the direction of the class monitor with enlarged eyes. The class president announced that he had a reliable source of information in his hands. The two sides are able to reach an agreement. She was very determined to slap the table and shouted, facing alone is definitely not as good as supporting each other and traveling together. Everyone together to fight for a chance to get on the. Everyone shouted in unison, class president is right. We are all classmates. Go together. The purple-haired girl shouted to stop them. Classmates, if you can pull a hand, then now I hope a few people can help me, but also to help themselves a hand. If your wish is just to find a stable job, then wait for your family to arrange the other half. Then I won't keep you today. She looked at the class president with her arms wrapped in disdain. I did not know that the class president is such a gossipy person. The yellow-haired man sighed. I do not dare to carry the prestige of the Chen Family Martial Arts Hall on my back. The Chen Family Martial Arts Hall has long been closed decades ago. He turned around and heard the class monitor say, you are the one I can't understand. The purple-haired girl looked at the crowd domineeringly. I know someone who has a way to get us all in. Tian Fong Ro Collar, the fourth caravan, the head of the Wuhausa. Wu Haoze is a big man, he has business dealings with him, so he invited himself to join as a reserve talent, and has passed the examination. Wang Dong cold face. He did not expect Wu Haoze actually with Zheng Yan on the line. Zheng Yan's side continues to say, as a reserve talent, she can set up a small team. All members of the team can enjoy certain preferential treatment. Li Ziqing said that he was only the head of the merchant team. Really have the power? Was questioned. Zheng Yan pulled down the face. She is very sure. The reserve talent has to push, the right is not. The people are still skeptical about this. Zheng Yan said that the relevant treatment will be announced. As for the right to command, the test is very difficult. Only they can pass. Zheng Yan knows that they are moved. These are good potential people. Is there ideal team members? She looked to Wang Dong, who did not speak, asked him what the problem is. Wang Dong was not optimistic about the Tianfang Earl territory, and the reserve talent construction was in the hands of his third son, which had basically evolved into a disguised beauty pageant over. As for the promised command of the Fire Seed battleship, it is not ownership. He seriously looked at Zheng Yan. You are still too young. If you are not careful, there may not even be any bone dregs. Li Ziqing to Wang Dong's words also remained doubtful. After all, at least one of the giants of the Northland Star Field. Wang Dong said that each have their own channels. A few people are still young. Zheng Yan at this time inwardly full of tangled. Her heart began to have some belief in Wang Dong's words. She wanted to verify the truth. She directly turned to leave. If Wu Haoze and that boy really want to sell themselves, then they will definitely let him pay the price. Ding Zero went up and instructed to try not to go out for mining recently. Last night, he heard his father say that the mining area had come back to the Spark battleships and raider ships. Wang Dong recalled that after finishing off Sima de Chao in his previous life, he was up against Sima de Long and Zhong De. In his memory, Wu Haoze recently acquired a purple quality ship module, and the merchant fleet is staying in the vicinity of the mining starfield. So this time, let your dog eat dog. In his previous life, De Lang did not have any clues, but still to the entire mining area, just in case, or change into the sensitive action of the prospector too safer. Wang Dong helplessly sitting on the battleship. In his previous life, I heard that there is an energy mine in the vicinity, but I have been looking for 8 hours, and then came the sound of the prom. Wang Dong immediately launched the battleship to start collecting. Scally ore is a rare mineral, often wrapped in the internal energy crystals. Such a large piece of scarlet ore, Wang Dong is simply happy to die. After a long time he was relieved. Finally transported this ore to the pawn ship. Just do not know how many energy crystals can come out. The battleship next to him said, recently there are people offering reward for all valuable information about the Spark battleship and its onboard modules. Wang Dong said that this is not something. Wang Dong thought about it. De Lang's tactics were the same as in his previous life. Yuan Shou must die. The whereabouts of the Battle Yao ship was unknown, and Wu Haoze happened to have a high quality. The two people in the corner of the pub began to whisper secrets. Recently, someone offered a high price for information about the Spark battleship and the shipboard module, and they heard that the module was in the hands of Wu Haoze, and all these words were heard. Wang Dong hooked the corner of his mouth. These days disguised to put this rumor out. Now should be fermented almost. The next focus on the movements of the merchant fleet on the line. At the same time, De Lang also got several pieces of information, which is the most probable. In this case, the only suspect is Count Tianfang's caravan. The assistant watched and nodded. Of course, does not rule out the suspicion that De Chao and Zhong De have started first. Drum snorted coldly. If it is really him, will not be now this kind of performance. On the contrary, the merchant fleet is the most suspicious. You can be sure that the merchant fleet, including, after verifying that there is indeed, but cannot determine whether it is from the tomahawk. Drum smiled. As long as there is no loss, you can begin to formulate a battle plan. The assistant said that the Earl of Tianfang is the biggest power in the neighboring star field, and the escort force of its merchant fleet is not weak, so the probability of achieving the desired. The operations department suggested that the captain of the ship and De Chao to reach a consensus and then fight together. De Lang heard agreed. Then he himself personally fooled Sima De Chao to play. On the other hand, De Chao was furious and slapped the table. De Lang was too deceitful. Not only did he want to fight himself, but he also wanted to take the lion's share of the booty. He was so angry that he yelled at his assistant, telling him to get through to Sima Zhongda, who was so scared that he immediately nodded his head and said yes. This night Wang Dong received a call from Zheng Yan. Has been the past few days. I think the Sima brothers have begun to target Wu Hao's action. Zheng Yan is full of gratitude to Wang Dong. He went to investigate. Indeed, as he said. Wang Dong smiled and said that the class leader is fine as long as it is good. Zheng Yan also let Wu Haozi planted a heel, but also thanks to Wang Dong a few people to help her. She invited a few people some other day to get together again. Wang Dong smiled and agreed to go down. Wu Haozi will be loaded up and leave the mining area in 5 days. Zheng Yan found that the Jin family has also been collecting information about them recently. Wang Dong said that he did not care. After hanging up the communication, Wang Dong thought that the current progress is very smooth. Reached his desired expectations. In his previous life, after Wang Dou discovered himself, he thought it was a hope to enhance his status, but he didn't expect to be plucked by Delang, and later Wang Dou rebelled against the Jin family. Sima Wang Dou is a talent. After he rebelled against the Puja, the trouble he brought to the Jin family far exceeded his own. If he can recruit him over the words of Wang Dong into thought, I didn't expect that only a few days later a few people were called out by the class president again, and a few people continued to discuss about the last time. If there is anything, there is also the class president in front of not afraid of. The atmosphere is relaxed. So Wang Dong also joked. Zheng Yan pretended to be annoyed and hummed. At this time, Chen Linfeng said, Wu Haozi's side do not need to worry about. Whether he can go back safely is still a matter of opinion. Recently, several local forces in the mining star have made a move. Such a big action cannot be hidden from the locals. The empty shark chamber of commerce of the 2 assault ships yesterday. Zheng Yan said that the air shark chamber of commerce, his rivals, the Sky Tiger merchant team will not stand idly by. In addition, the Kingfisher Club did not miss the meaning of the action. At least 4 Spark battleships and 20 ordinary battleships are involved. A battle of this scale is considered unprecedented. Wang Dong thought that the plan could be implemented. Zheng Yan has always been concerned about the promotion channels of the civilian class, but the current situation is unfavorable, unless it obtains the appreciation of a certain nobleman. Li Ziqing excitedly responded, a few people should set their sights on the long term, such as the neighboring Canary Flower Federation, which is a democratic and free country. Chen Linfeng couldn't help but be a little skeptical and also a little moved. Ding Zero said that the security there was better than this side. Other than that, it seemed to be similar to the Bohemia. Zheng Yan was a bit puzzled. Didn't she say that there is no such thing as a nobleman's collar over there, and that the population is free to move around and enjoy the dividends of social development? Wang Dong drank his water. Over there is more concerned about the food. The publicity is well done. There is only one academy related to the Fire Seed battleship. The entrance threshold is extremely. Zheng Yan disappointed lowered his head. Can we only waste away like this? Wang Dong did not comfort too much. Some things must be experienced. When he returned to the Blackstone baronial house as a bastard, he also needs to be able to rely on the bottom of the class. Back to see the road, Wang Dong looked at the stop in front of Get People Some Surprise. Has arrived? It turned out to be the luxury caravan he ordered on the internet. 15 days is almost the net income of their own mining once, but this money had to talk. He started the caravan. Wu Haozi's caravan has left the mining area. This action is not mining. A few days can be covered up, simply in the name of the self-drive tour to cover up. He sat leisurely in his chair, enjoying a moment of relaxation. Eventually the caravan stopped somewhere on Wu Haozi's must-see path. Not long after, a huge fleet appeared in the sky above Wang Dong. Wang Dong decided to use the robots on the warship to disguise himself, drive to different spots every day according to the preset instructions, and spend the night in the wild at night. Then Wang Dong left the mining planet at full speed in a stealthy state and headed to the target location. This was also the first time in many days that the pond had left the shelter of the asteroid belt mining area, and the Star Sea voyage had officially started. After leaving the mining area, Wang Dong decided to end his stealth and traveled in a normal posture. However, his own members were not enough, and he had problems to play at the level of level 5. He began to assess the 2 Spark warships of the Jin family. He had to wait for them to move before he could approach the battlefield in stealth. He needed to be careful with his control. Wang Dong, who had been chased for 10 years in his previous life, had long had a wealth of experience in chasing and escaping, even though he was not moving at full speed. The distance to him, he looked at the red dots on the screen. It should be the assault ships of several chambers of commerce. He only needed to follow them from a distance. Wang Dong sat paralyzed on the ground. The front fleet has not moved for 2 days. This time the ore is almost finished cracking. Just at this time the letter began to frantically send out beeps. He immediately ran all the way to the cockpit and ordered the pawn to enter stealth and move forward at full speed. At this time, Wu Haozi also found that he was being followed, but it didn't look like there was any mischief that far away. Besides, this is the public airway in and out of the mining star field. At this moment, countless attacks came in his direction. Wu Haozi was shocked and ordered his men to raise their energy shields. At this moment, De Chao smiled with a hideous face. "Watch the dog try to hit me." Hidden in a corner, it is Wang Dou's pawn ship. He was seriously observing the current battle situation. On the other side, De Chao was so proud of himself that he laughed at the fact that Wu Haozi couldn't hit himself even if he wanted to, and then he asked his men to continue to pull in the distance. At the end of the battlefield, Durain smiled. Sima De Chao really lived up to his title of Mad Dog. Letting him take the lead was indeed the best choice. On the other side of the battlefield, Wang Dong was also satisfied. This battle had reached his expectations. Wu Haozi launched another attack. The close-range missile was a rattlesnake, and the energy field neutralization bomb was also launched. The price of a rattlesnake plus launcher is enough to buy half an assault ship. Now it's too late. The distance is too close to get rid of it, and soon there will be a huge explosion sound. Surprisingly, De Chao's shield was able to hold up. It was really worth